All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're acting as textual detectives to uncover an absolutely incredible hidden message tucked inside what honestly seems like the most mundane chapter in the entire Bible. I mean, on the surface, we're looking at a text that appears to be nothing more than a very dry, ancient census. But if you know how to read the clues, wow, it reveals a profound story about resilience and really survival against all odds.
Let's be completely real here for a second. First Chronicles chapter 3 is literally just a giant list of hard-to-pronounce names. It's the exact kind of chapter most people use as a cure for insomnia, right? You just skim it or skip it entirely. But as you'll see, the ancient author wasn't just jotting down names for the fun of it. Actually, they were communicating something deeply dramatic to a very specific audience, an audience that desperately needed to hear it.
So, to really get this, we have to set the scene. The Jewish people have just returned from the Babylonian exile to a completely ruined Jerusalem. They've been stripped of their temple, and they are asking this fundamental, deeply existential question: who are we? Just imagine being in their shoes. They've been in captivity for decades. They finally returned to the land they've been dreaming of, but it's not the glorious home of their ancestors. The palace? Gone. The walls are completely destroyed. The temple is just in ruins. Surrounded by hostile neighbors, they look around at all this rubble and just ask, who are we now? Do we even still matter?
Now, to answer that incredibly heavy question, the ancient author first traces their identity back through history. They point to three foundational promises, ultimately landing on their greatest hero, King David. The chronicler is basically reminding them, hey, your identity isn't based on your current tragic circumstances. It's built on historical covenants. They're the descendants of Noah, the guy who survived the flood. They're the heirs of Abraham, who was promised land and descendants as numerous as the stars. And, most importantly for the chapter we're looking at, they are tied directly to the legacy of King David. And this perfectly illustrates the absolute bedrock of their hope. It's God's ultimate promise to David that his royal dynasty would literally never end. I mean, this passage from 2 Samuel, it was the anchor of their national identity. God had promised that David's royal line would be totally secure, that his descendants would sit on the throne and the kingdom would be established forever. Even when the nation later split in two, the southern kingdom of Judah held tightly to this promise. They believed without a doubt that the Davidic line was completely unbreakable.
But let's look at how incredibly fast that promise seemed to just fall apart. It's a dramatic drop. The final kings are rapidly deposed, and the seemingly eternal kingdom is utterly destroyed by Babylon. In the text, we see this tragic, rapid-fire domino effect. King Josiah dies suddenly. Then his son Shallum, he lasts only 3 months before being removed. Jehoiakim manages 11 years before he's captured. Then Jeconiah is on the throne for a mere 3 months before being dragged off to Babylon. And finally, Zedekiah rebels, and the entire kingdom is completely obliterated. Just like that, the eternal throne is empty.
Which brings us to part 1, the broken promise, a dynasty in ruins.
This situation created a massive theological crisis for the exiled Jews. I mean, think about it. How could God promise an eternal kingdom when the royal line was now completely, undeniably dead? This wasn't just a political defeat, it was a total spiritual catastrophe. If God promised David an eternal dynasty, but there are no more kings, no more throne, and everyone is enslaved in Babylon, did the promise fail? Was God just not powerful enough to keep it? The despair reaches its absolute peak with the prophet Jeremiah's devastating curse on King Jeconiah. He basically slams the door shut on the royal bloodline. The prophet declared that Jeconiah, who is also known as Jehoiachin, should be recorded as if he had no children at all. Why? Because no descendant of his would ever prosper or rule from David's throne again. From a human perspective, guys, this was the definitive end of the line. The eternal promise seemed officially terminated.
But as we're reading through 1 Chronicles 3, we hit a massive visual speed bump. It's a jarring, highly specific word used to describe King Jeconiah in verse 17. After listing all the glorious kings of Judah's past, the chronicler writes, "The sons of Jeconiah, the captive." Wow. It's a glaring reminder of the tragedy, right? He is the king who lost everything, the one who was dragged away from the throne and thrown into a foreign prison. Honestly, you'd expect the genealogy to just end right there, swallowed up in the darkness of captivity.
Let's move to the next part and see how this builds, because this is where the plot twist happens. Despite the curse and the exile, the text shockingly goes out of its way to list 7 sons born to this captive, defeated king. Wait a second. Remember Jeremiah's curse? Record this man as childless.
Yet right here in the official record, the author deliberately lists not one, but 7 specific sons. The line didn't die in that Babylonian prison. Even in the darkest, most hopeless moment of captivity, new life was quietly springing up. And here, my friends, is the hidden secret in the text. The author intentionally lists every single son for only 2 kings, David at the glorious beginning and the captive Jeconiah. They are secretly signaling a brand new beginning right amidst the ruins. See, throughout the rest of the genealogy, the author typically only lists the one son who actually inherited the throne. But for David, he lists all the sons to show the massive, expansive potential of the new kingdom. By doing the exact same thing for the captive Jeconiah, the author is sending a flashing neon sign to the readers. It's saying, this is not the end. Just like with David, this is a totally fresh start. All the possibilities are open again. And you know what? This wasn't just some nice symbolic gesture. Jeconiah's own grandson, Zerubbabel, literally rose from the ashes of this captive lineage to lead the people home and rebuild their foundation. The text traces the line from Jeconiah to his son Pedaiah to his son Zerubbabel. And if you know your ancient history, you know Zerubbabel is the very man who actually led the first wave of exiles out of Babylon. He brought them back to Jerusalem to rebuild the ruined temple. Out of a supposedly dead, cursed bloodline came the catalyst for the entire nation's restoration. Incredible, right? But it gets better. The ultimate payoff of this hidden code stretches 500 years into the future. It completely defies the curse as these exact names land directly in the genealogy of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew. The author of Chronicles saw the seeds of hope in his own day, for sure, but the historical record takes it so much further. The line of the captive king, the line that was supposed to be completely cut off forever, survived empire after empire, century after century, ultimately fulfilling that ancient promise of an eternal kingdom in a way the original readers could literally never have imagined. So what does this all mean for us? When we take this historical puzzle and apply it to today, we realize that we all face our own Babylonian exiles. We all hit those moments of complete despair where all the doors seem permanently closed. The source material draws a really powerful parallel here. Just as the ancient Israelites looked around at their ruined lives and thought the promises were broken, we hit those absolute rock-bottom moments too, don't we? Times when our plans just completely collapse, when a chapter of our life abruptly and painfully ends, and we feel totally captive to our circumstances. In those moments where everything feels ruined and the promises feel broken, we inevitably ask this deeply personal, painful question. God, where are you right now? It's the exact same question the exiles were asking as they stared at the literal rubble of Jerusalem. When the circumstances of our lives seem to definitively prove that there is no hope left, well, it is just human nature to wonder if we've been entirely forgotten. But what you should really take away from this explainer is this. Even when a chapter seems definitively closed, God is quietly and secretly planting the seeds of your new beginning. Just like those 7 sons born in a dark Babylonian prison, new life often begins exactly where everything appears to have ended. The absolute greatest plot twist of 1 Chronicles 3 is that the ruins aren't a graveyard at all, they're a garden. So I want to leave you with this. What unexpected seeds of hope might be quietly taking root in the ruined spaces of your own life right now?